But yeah, we need to return purchasing power to the currency. We need to swallow the bad medicine and realize this is the way to turn it around. But I would rather see President Trump sign the Gold Reserve Act of 1934 into law, which he could revalue gold at whatever he wants. I say 40, 50, 60, 70, $80,000 an ounce. Back the currency with that gold, return ourselves to a gold standard. The Federal Reserve would be dissolved in 7 seconds. Write his signature here. But now what do we have? We have this stablecoin token system that is being put into place. They privatized the monetary system right under everyone's nose while everyone's distracted by Epstein. It's unbelievable. But that's what's going on here. And people like you and me have been warning that this was going to happen, moving towards a tokenized system.
A recent Federal Reserve report proposes revaluing U.S. gold reserves at market prices rather than the outdated $42.22 per ounce. However, Treasury officials have publicly denied any plan to revalue the gold reserves. The newly enacted Genius Act, Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for US Stablecoins Act, mandates that stablecoins be backed by liquid assets, such as cash or Treasury bills, with monthly reserve disclosures. The speaker, Gregory Mannarino, a sharp and outspoken market commentator, warns that the U.S. is heading into a depression, not just a recession, and the only real fix is restoring purchasing power to the dollar, even if it means sharply raising interest rates and taking short-term economic pain. They argue that currently, the U.S. Treasury values its substantial gold reserves at just $422 per ounce, a figure established in 1973 that bears little resemblance to today's market price of approximately $3,400 per ounce. This dramatic undervaluation creates a potential opportunity. The government could revalue these assets closer to market rates, significantly strengthening its balance sheet without selling a single ounce of physical gold. This disparity creates an interesting situation. The U.S. government owns significant gold reserves that are drastically undervalued on paper. Gold revaluation discussions coincide with accelerating trends toward de-dollarization in the global financial system. Central banks worldwide have been increasing their gold reserves at the fastest pace in decades, with gold recently surpassing the euro as the second-largest foreign exchange reserve asset globally. To receive fast notifications whenever we release a new video, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. At the same time, we play snippets from the video. Enjoy the video, and thank you for your support.
We are going to end up already moving very rapidly into something way worse than a recession, going into a depression here. We got to take some bad medicine and realize that, yes, the only way to fix this right now is to return purchasing power to the currency, period. It has to be done. Yes, the stock market would take a dramatic hit on the back of, look what happened today. We got this abysmal economic report on inflation, and the market goes higher. Why? Because it realizes more easy money's coming. You can't make it up. The disconnect between reality and the markets is just off the freaking Richter scale right now. It's only going to get worse from here. The market, the United States has become a zombie corporation, really. In other words, it just consumes. It doesn't produce anything. Now, with regard to where we're going to a recession, depression either way. One would be shorter. If we were to return purchasing power to the currency and start dramatically raising rates, vulgarize it. Okay, yes, things would initially shock the market. People would start saying, oh my goodness, what happened to my 401k plan? It's going to happen anyway to a much greater degree. But we would start returning purchasing power to the currency. People would start spending money with purchasing power. Our factories would start to wake up. We would start to rebuild. Right now, our factories are dying. People aren't consuming because they can't. So factories don't produce. There's no need. So our factories are dying. Layoffs are skyrocketing. And over 94,000 alone in just over the last year with regard to the U.S. industry and manufacturing. Wow. It's over. And it's going to be a lot worse from here moving forward unless we do something. Now, the bottom line, why President Trump is talking about he duped his people too many times. First, he told them the story that we need to weaken the dollar, so the world is going to want our products. So it's better for that's going to make our factories wake up. But this is a joke. Anyone who believes that, let's see, the dollar's lost 96% of its purchasing power since the Federal Reserve decided to take over the system. If we give them another 1 or 2%, then all of a sudden the world's going to jump for joy for our products. You got to be kidding me. No, it's not true. It's a lie. And anyone who bought that, drank way too much freaking Kool-Aid. The bottom line is he's talking about this so we can inflate the debt even further and make the Fed stronger. That's what this is all is, and foster the cancel-on effect, the wealth transfer right up to the 1% and 2%. Who owns 90% of the market? Well, it's the 1% and 2%ers here, and they want to see the market higher. But again, at what cost? At the cost of everyone else. It's devilism. That's what I've been trying to explain to people for the longest freaking time. But yeah, we need to return purchasing power to the currency. We need to swallow the bad medicine and realize this is the way to turn it around. But I would rather see President Trump sign the Gold Reserve Act of 1934 into law, which he could revalue gold at whatever he wants. I say it's $40, $50, $60, $70, $80,000 an ounce. Back the currency with that gold, return ourselves to a gold standard. The Federal Reserve would be dissolved in 7 seconds, the time it takes him to write his signature here. But now what do we have? We have this stablecoin token system that is being put into place. They privatized the monetary system right under everyone's nose while everyone's distracted by Epstein. It's unbelievable. But that's what's going on here. And people like you and me have been warning that this was going to happen, moving towards a tokenized system. We're going to get, why do you think they're collecting biometric ID on everyone here? Because it's going to make us safer now. It's because they're going to use that data and tokenize everything, including us. Wow. We are going to be reduced into a token. And again, think about this. President Trump signed into law, this Stablecoin Genius Act is now going to allow private corporations to issue tokens which are not currency, certainly not cash, and people are going to use this. It's completely unconstitutional to buy goods and services. It's unbelievable. But again, this was done under the cover of the ghost of Epstein. We all know Trump's all over it. Okay, we all know it. But it's no big secret here, okay? But the bottom line is they use this. Don't let any political event like this go without, getting something through in the shadows is what they did. It's an incredible thing. But unfortunately, we're all going to pay for it on a much greater scale moving forward.
The concept of Trump issuing gold-backed treasuries has gained attention among monetary policy analysts and precious metals investors. While no official policy announcements have confirmed such plans, several economic and geopolitical factors make this scenario worth exploring. The growing economic bloc has openly discussed gold-backed settlement mechanisms at recent summits. Many nations are reducing dollar reserves and increasing global gold reserves. Central banks purchased record amounts of gold in recent years. Gregory Mannarino accuses Trump of banning a central bank digital currency in name only, then secretly enabling it through a stablecoin law that privatizes the system under Federal Reserve oversight with zero accountability. However, the reason stablecoins could take off now is that lawmakers have provided them with a launchpad. In June, the U.S. government passed the Genesis Act, a piece of legislation that provides a clear framework for stablecoins. It contains guidelines for stablecoin issuers about reserve requirements, audits, and anti-money laundering practices. It paves the way for both banks and non-banks to issue stablecoins. They actually urge people to pull money from big banks, resist weaker currency policies, and act now before freedoms are lost completely. Let's have a look back at the interview.
And I really got to take my hat off to President Trump on this one. He signed an executive order, no central bank digital currency. So what did he do? He found a backdoor way to do it. That was just the bait. Okay. Was just, okay, we're not going to do this. Then he signs this stablecoin law, token into law here, allowing the system to be privatized and still having the Federal Reserve oversee it. It's a central bank digital currency, but orders of magnitude worse because now there is zero oversight. At least with a central bank digital currency, there would still be, in theory, some oversight. Right. So again, the biggest bait and switch that has ever been pulled off in American history. We're already in a currency crisis, henceforth why we're seeing what we're seeing here with the debt inflating on a massive scale. It can't stop. A system that is absolutely dependent on debt expansion on an unprecedented scale until the system implodes on itself. We got the Federal Reserve in here buying all the debt. Now they got the US Treasury here buying back their own debt, being funded by the Federal Reserve, and this is keeping the debt market of the 10-year yield basically stable, which is allowing cash to move its way into the stock market. That's why we're seeing record high. Wow. It could go on and go on and go on, but at what cost? At cost of currency devaluation on a massive scale, of the economy failing, our industrial engine dying. I mean, it's unbelievable. The 1% and 2% are literally pillaging pillaging, Trump being one of the 1 and 2% as well, 1%ers, pillaging the United States to death. He's turned the Oval Office into a cryptocurrency stablecoin casino, making himself in his he has his own stablecoin, USD1. He jumped ahead of everyone. I mean, look, man, what they tell you what they're going to do before they do it. Stable genius. Remember, he called himself a stable genius.
Right.
Now we got Stablecoin Genius Act. That's their book, man.
Wow.
Devilism. Their book tells you they got to tell you what they do first. It's about free will. Now, they implemented it. Where's the outcry? Nowhere, because people don't even know it happened, because it happened under the shadow of Epstein, right in the shadows.
Wow.
And what are they going to do? But look, where they're going to force us to suffer further here, and then they're going to say, okay, well, we have this system. We have a new system here. President Trump signed the stablecoin token into law. We're going to start, going that way. Absolutely. It's about maximum control. I'm telling people that they need to take their cash out of these banks, put them in a credit union, keep only what you need. Bank runs, absolutely. This can happen here. It will happen at one particular time. We're being brought down to our knees purposely so they can implement the system of maximum control. That's what this is all about. This stage nonsensical shutdown of Washington, D.C. now as a police state. It's not even on the top 15 of worst crime cities in the United States, but they're gonna call out the National Guard over here, which they just did. We're doing this to stop crime. No, it's a test bed to see where this is gonna go.
Wow.
How people they're gonna allow this to happen. Look, man, as soon as you surrender your freedom and liberties, you start to see armed soldiers on the street. We have a problem a lot worse than they're letting us know about it. They're getting set up because they all know where this is going, and people better get hip to it, man. People are sitting back sucking their thumbs off. They better listen to shows like this and start taking action. They don't want it. People don't want this token system. Well, it's too late. You should have taken action before, when people like you and I was telling people it was coming. Okay, now that you let that one go, how about saying no to all this other garbage that's going on right now? We do not need lower rates and a weaker currency. We need to do the polar opposite. But again, people are going to sit back and they're going to take it straight in the gabagool, man, until they can't handle it anymore. And then they're going to cry and say, well, why didn't anyone tell us? Well, you know what? There are people trying to warn them, like you and I right now.
Gregory Mannarino paints a stark picture of America's financial trajectory, warning that the country is on the brink of a depression and that only restoring the dollar's purchasing power, potentially via higher interest rates and gold revaluation, can avert collapse. He highlights the undervaluation of U.S. gold reserves and growing global de-dollarization, framing the Genius Act as a Trojan horse for a privatized, tokenized monetary system. While official policy has not yet adopted gold-backed treasuries or dismantled the current Fed-driven structure, the acceleration of gold accumulation worldwide and the introduction of new stablecoin regulations signal a significant shift in the global monetary landscape. How might revaluing gold reserves closer to market prices impact the U.S. government's fiscal position without selling physical gold? In what ways could the Genius Act accelerate the adoption of tokenized payment systems under Federal Reserve oversight? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. If you found this helpful video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. Thanks for being a part of our journey.